Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are playing Timberborn and building a beaver city on a bluff. This is Bluffside Beavers, and we are still working our way towards building our automated beaver robots. And I'm excited to continue to work towards that, but we've got a number of things that we're going to need to be able to build this. But before we dive in, I want to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, the developer of Timberborn. Again, super cool of them to support this series and this video, and I really appreciate it. First of all, we'll go into science. This is what we're going to need to focus on. We are going to need fuel. We're going to need metal blocks. We're going to need lots of power. We need the robot part factory and the bot assembler, as well as a refinery. We're going to need to go and collect some metal. So our scavenger flag, we're gonna need to be able to set those up, our smelter. So I can see that we're gonna need lots and lots of gears. We're gonna need lots and lots of power, and we're gonna continue to need to stabilize our food supply. Maybe get our beavers working faster, which brings me to my first thing. In the comments, a number of you pointed out that having berries doesn't make a ton of sense for this faction. We don't need them for reproduction, so they are some of the only foods that don't provide any bonuses. We're going to replace these, and this is the very first thing I think we need to do, because we are going to potentially put ourselves in a bad place. We're also going to enable this medical bed. So a number of you pointed out in the comments, this works for sick beavers without medicine. It's just slower. So there we go. All right, so what we're going to do is demolish this resource. This always makes me uncomfortable. Okay, and now the beavers are clearing this, and while this is happening, I want to think about what we replace this with. And I think we're going to place a number of farms here. We've got a little location here that is empty. I'm going to place 2 farms right here and another back here. Now, the idea is that I want to be able to harvest and plant at the same time. Stabilizing our food supply is going to be the most important thing that we can do. The other thing that was mentioned in the comments is that the hauling post. It's good to have this set to a low workplace priority. And then as things come up, rather than having unemployed beavers, they'll come work at the hauling post. That makes a ton of sense to me, and I really like that idea, so I appreciate that feedback. Okay, so we're mostly clear, and I think I can at least start thinking about how we're going to lay this out. So what I want to do is provide some storage. We're going to have multiple different kinds of storage right here, and behind the storage, I want to have the sort of good that we're going to farm. Okay, and our drought has finally ended, which is good because we're still... Oh, no, I was really hoping that we could get the water over here in time. You see, all of our carrots are quickly dying. That is a bummer. It's flowing, but it's not flowing fast enough. Either way, I can start to see where we can have these paths, and we're going to start getting them ready. Okay, so now what I've done here is I've tried to mix things up a little bit. We have some sunflowers here, some wheat here, and the storage is right in front of the fields to try to cut down on unnecessary trips. So I feel like we're in a good spot here. I'm noticing we have 2 gatherers flags over here, and that is not necessary. So I'm going to get rid of one of these. We do need one. We have our chestnut trees here, and I actually planted some more over here. The idea being that if we're going to have some chestnuts, why not double down a little bit and actually make this valuable so that we can collect these and justify having a grill for the chestnuts. So we do need that. Right now we have some chestnuts that we've collected and we're not processing them at all. So I'm going to build another grill, and right away we'll set this up for grilled chestnuts. We're going to need storage for both chestnuts and grilled chestnuts, and I think now's the time. And it'll be a little while before this actually comes to fruition. Not a big deal. We are going to set this. We got Jason C here. We're going to set this to work the workplace priority a little bit lower. Same thing here, lower here as well, and that'll work just fine for us. Now, I want to see where we can plant to make sure that we're going as far out as we can, and it looks like we have a little bit of a planting area for our farm that we're not utilizing. Same thing here, so we are just going to fill this right up. No reason to leave this empty in any way. Okay, and I've continued to expand the farming, so what I'm guessing is going to work here is we'll just completely fill this up with potatoes as well, and we want to maximize our land as best we can. This will stay green for quite some time, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so focused on getting this right. And I really want to focus on this food because I don't want to come back to it, which might sound a little weird, but I want to get this completely right and then be done with it. And look at that, we have no food. This is really nerve-wracking time. This is one of the things I was worried about, and one of the reasons why I have prioritized farmers so heavily. I just really want to make sure that we get this food harvested as quickly as possible. In fact, I'm going to set most of these to prioritize harvesting. Planter Duck doing the work that we need him to do. Love it. And we've got Philip. Of course we have Philip. All right, I'm going to speed this up and hopefully we don't lose a bunch of beavers. We have beavers dying of old age, but not of starvation. That Epic Alpaca's in here too. I missed that. Epic Alpaca actually designed the splash logo for Nicolet Bay. So very, very cool of Epic Alpaca to do that. And as we're letting this go, I'm starting to realize we need a bakery and we're going to need a grist mill to be able to actually process all this wheat. We'll unlock the grist mill and unlock the bakery, and that's going to require power. So we should get this going as quickly as we can. Now, I'm going to place these over here. The main reason for that is this is land that is not going to be productive anyway. Now, the grist mill is what requires the power. We'll just place that right here. And then for our bakery, that doesn't require power. We'll place that right across the street. Now that I think about it, we actually have an opportunity here. So I'm pausing this for just a moment. The opportunity that we have is if we place this correctly, we could have a battery associated with our grist mill. So I'm going to place that across the street from where we were going to place it. Not a huge difference, but basically the difference is that I could send a battery over here. This is probably the right spot because of the difference in elevation here. Or it could even be right here. We could build the stand up and have it right here. And that would be really beneficial for us so that we're not completely reliant on the windmill actually being productive. And thankfully, we finally have some food. We also have some potatoes coming. So we've really got to prioritize. We'll prioritize. Philip is here grilling potatoes. We got a lot of Philip. So we're going to prioritize this building by the haulers. And we did get our bakery done. We'll have to set the recipe to be bread. And here we'll produce wheat flour at our grist mill once this is ready. And I think gears are going to be our limiting factor over here. We're producing gears slowly. And this is going to be why power is so important for us. I've also been noticing one other thing, and that is that we don't have a ton of storage for our logs. So we're actually topping out, and then we're getting stuck. So I'm going to build one more log storage because I don't like the idea of our lumberjack flags just stopping rather than continuing to collect lumber. They just sit and wait, all because we haven't built storage, which takes basically no resources. It takes 6 logs. So it's in our best interest to produce as many of these as we can. So I think for all of these farm buildings, I'm going to prioritize them by the haulers so that we're not getting completely trapped with all of this stuff sitting here and all of the farmers. Rather than harvesting, they end up transporting things back and forth. And I'm going to take these storage buildings and prioritize them by haulers as well. Okay, and I see that our food situation is very tense right now, but I feel like we could leave it, which might be really stupid, but we're gonna go for it anyway and see what happens. Now, I want to focus on this area. I think this is the linchpin to everything. And that might sound crazy, but I think that what we're going to do is actually build this up and divert some of this water down here. I want to create a massive power generation area right here. And part of that is going to be dumping some of this water down the side of the hill, which might sound crazy, but hear me out. So I'm going to clear a bit of this. We're going to still send the water down this way, but we're going to divert it in the other direction as well. So we're going to clear this here, and then we'll use levees to divert our water. And we'll have a dam right here that is able to store some of the water and then dump some of it down the side. Okay, and now I've completed this around here. And we have a drought that's about to occur. And that might sound like not the greatest time to have this happen, but I'm actually pretty pleased because it's going to stop, which means that we can construct this without flooding. Otherwise, I'm concerned that we're going to flood everything out. So this is actually ideal time to have all of this occur. Now our food situation is beginning to normalize a bit. The one thing that I was thinking about is we don't have a storage for, we don't even have a grist mill. No one's here. We're going to increase, we got Dodibot in here. We now are producing flour, which is great. We'll increase this as well. And so now we know that we're going to be making bread with our flour. We're going to leave that. That's going to work well. So now we've got another day, 1.9 days until we end up with our drought, which means that we're going to need to change the priority of some of these things. So I've paused this one. It can build one of these, but I can't build both. Otherwise, we're going to end up flooding everything out right before our drought begins. That would be an absolute tragedy. And look at that. Our well-being is now up to 11. That is a direct relation to our new sources of food. So this is absolutely wonderful. And honestly, this might work out in our favor because now we're storing a bunch of water up here. And you see, this is exactly what I wanted to happen. We have water spilling down the side now. So this is going to be a massive undertaking. We're going to build a huge levee project around here, and I'm really excited about it. So let's get this designed. And the first thing I know that we need to do is block this off. And then we need to block off here as well, although I think we're going to, so I'm building this on the side here because we're going to fill this in and we're going to change the flow of water. So basically, rather than this functioning as a river, we're going to act as a gigantic store right here, and we're going to reverse the river in this direction. So that's going to cause a lot of this area to flood. I think it's going to work really well for us, but it is going to be a significant change. Through here, I'm going to block this off as well. Okay, so this, we're going to need to get some, a large staircase to come down through here, but we're going to do the exact same thing over here. Now, to get over here, we're going to need a path. Let's just get that set up right away as well. And now that we have this set up, we know, holy cow, this is very deep. We know that we're going to need to go up 5 levels through here because we have 1 additional level, and we are going to dam this up as well. There we go. So we are going to have this little area that will have a current going in either direction. We should be able to really create a ton of power here, store a bunch of water here, and hopefully really create something that makes us a totally sustainable colony. Now this is going to drive me nuts. So I'm going to get rid of this so we don't see that little icon there. And then we're going to need some sort of staircase to get down over here as well. So let's start thinking about this path system. Okay, and I didn't account for one thing. We've got a step right here. That's always a bummer. So we'll get rid of this and we're going to add our staircase up here. And then over here, we're going to need to do the exact same thing. In fact, what we probably need to do is provide a relief over here instead. So we're just trying to think about all the ways that the water is going to flow and make sure that we are providing escape valves. So here, we're going to provide a dam. So the water is going to fill up here to this level, and then it's going to spill out here. It's also going to be spilling out from here. This will be 1 level higher. And I'm backing this out because we're going to have some factories right here so that we can produce things, because we're going to produce power all throughout the center of this. Here, we're going to add some staircases down, and this provides more value than I let on. We now have access to these ruins over here, and we have access to ruins over here as well, as long as we provide ourselves a staircase down. So this will be our first opportunity to build anything with metals, which is really exciting. And look at this, we are storing up a ton of water. Our food situation is stabilizing. We've got wheat that we are grinding down. We are storing things. I just want to make sure that we aren't overloading on anything. And it looks like we stopped producing gears and bread and carrots because we are just completely filled up. So never neglect your storage. That is a huge problem. If you do that, I mean, to have your city grind to a halt because you've not built storage is kind of silly. Now over here, I built storage for our chestnuts. That's probably not super necessary. So I think for this one, we're going to set this to carrots as well. Okay, and now over here, we've got this guy over here, Rolls-Roycer 1, is just sitting here because there's no storage for gears. That is a tragedy. So let's give Rolls-Roycer some places to put all of these gears. We're going to need these. You can already see we're already building this up. Things are starting to fill in. Holy cow, like the speed of this sometimes when you've got materials available, it's just really impressive. Now we are going to have some problems over here. It's attributable to our lack of power. I think that we have a solution, a temporary one anyway. And what we're going to do is build some of our battery backups as long as we can unlock it. Let's see if we can. We have enough resources. Oh, we can't yet because we don't have iron. So everything is related. So we're going to have to get to that. Okay, I see that planks are becoming a significant limiting factor for us right now. So what I think we're going to do is work on finding some way to continue our plank output. And what we're going to do is just try to get some more power wheels attached to this. So we're going to send this backwards, and I'm going to do something kind of weird. Okay, so this is going to serve dual purpose. So all of these structures right here, we are building this so that eventually we can stick our battery backups up here. This is really tall, so it will provide a lot of storage of power. In the meantime, we are going to build these power wheels up here. We'll attach these, we'll get rid of this road once we are all the way around. We might need to even go a little bit further here. And I'm actually going to increase the priority of this. So we need lots of planks, and right now our limiting factor is our power. So if we get the power wheel going, we'll produce more planks. We produce more planks, we can create more of these. Actually, this is logs, but it's our staircases and things of that nature that we can't build right now. So all of these things are related. We will increase the priority of this. We'll get Nelson Malta working over here and chopping these down. We should probably plant over here as well. And it's funny, our lumber is our limiting factor right now. Thankfully, we do have some things occurring over here. We've got some trees maturing, but we are in a rough spot. So we're just going to start clearing all of the wood that we find. And I'm clearing all of these trees because I think this will eventually be very productive farmland. And in the meantime, we can take these trees and use it for good. Now I'm going to pause. We're going to run into the same problem we had over here. What I'm concerned about now is we are going to end up in a situation where we block this off, reverse this, and don't dam this off. Hopefully it doesn't cause problems for us. I think we should be okay, but we're going to need to keep an eye on this. It could create some issues down the line. Okay, and one of the reasons we don't have lumber is we're actually not cutting these down. So we've got all these lumberjack flags up here, and they're not prioritized. So I'm going to lower the priority of this one because this one doesn't matter quite as much. We're about to run out of trees down here, but over here we've got tons, and these were all vacant. Okay, and with this going all the way around now, I think we're in a safe place to actually get rid of the paths here. And we'll build our path around. Okay, and we are all set up. Things are good to go, and we finally have this attached. Now, I've been noticing one thing. This isn't producing anything, and I think that's because we have the steps here. Now, normally, in the past anyway, before we could recover materials, I might have just left this and called it a day, but now that we can recover materials, I'm going to delete this and get a platform set up here and run some shafts across because we can recover these materials and use them. And there we go. We've now got some shafts running across. We recovered some materials. Always a good thing. So now we can take a look at this, and holy cow, we have built our little dam here, and we are flooding out everywhere. So look at all of the water that we are starting to see just get completely, and wow, just a lot of flooding. So we're flooding back here. We're flooding back here. We filled in this big sinkhole here. And I wonder if eventually, once this is high enough, once we build this, if we're going to actually flood back here as well. My guess is we will. So now we've got a drought, which kind of makes me want to prioritize getting this dam built. Hopefully during our 7-day drought, so that when the water starts flowing again, we just start storing it here. And in fact, we're going to need to prioritize the whole thing, or we're going to just flood other things out back here. Now, I'm starting to realize this is a situation where we should probably have a levee up here and not a dam. Now, the reason for that is we could release some of this water. We've got all this water up here, and if we had a levee that went down a couple of stories, we could set this to go down and preserve all of our crops. So in the future, maybe that future is even now, once this dries up, I'm going to demolish a couple of these and then add a levee. So that will prevent us from walking across this, which is going to be unfortunate, but I think it's probably for the best. Okay, and now here's where we are going to finally build our, I think we can go with a triple floodgate here. So we'll unlock that 500 science points. And then we are going to demolish our dam. And these are again high priority. Now we saved all of our crops. We've got about 2 days. This shouldn't evaporate in the meantime. This lasted about, I don't know, 4.5 days before without evaporation. So we should be in a good spot there. Okay, flood's finally over, and we have not put ourselves in a position to actually stop this water. We have not finished this, so we're going to be in a fine spot, but it is going to cause some problems over here. I'm curious as to whether this is going to flow back this way. That could be really helpful for us. I'm concerned that these trees are going to die. Oh, I guess it's watered and alive. We're going to be okay. And I'm noticing that our food supply, again, is not really growing, and I'm curious as to why. And it looks like we are completely filling up with some of our resources, and that is a bit of a concern for me. Let's see if we can improve this. We have this completely empty warehouse for grilled chestnuts. I guess we'll just swap this over. And as we look through here, we can see that we've got a couple of things that are kind of at their max level, bread being one of them. Might as well give ourselves more overhead here. Okay, and after what feels like years of waiting, we finally have this thing operational again, and it's looking good. So we've got these new floodgates. They're set to the top. When they're set to the top, the water spills out here, fills up this area where it will dam out on either side, which is going to be absolutely fantastic for us. So we're adding a ton of water storage right here. Now we're coming over here, and we're going to build this little dam complex. The idea being that we don't want to flood this area out necessarily. Maybe we'll collect this in the future. We're also, now that I look at this, if we are smart about this, we could add a levee here and open ourselves up to some water pumping here as well. Over here, even though we've got all of this water stored here, I don't know that we're going to use it for pumping in this location. Eventually, we'll probably want to add a floodgate here and maybe dam off another area here with some pumps. But we're just doing so well on water. It's so far out of my mind right now. What's in my mind is power. So let's start thinking about that. So first of all, we want to connect up to this existing power system. So we are going to need to do some work to get there. So I'm going to mark these resources right here for demolition. Oh, that's the wrong ones. These ones right here. And then we're going to take our power and try to get it over this area. So we use one of these high power shafts. So it's too close right now. So we are going to need to call a bit of a mulligan here, get rid of these and add one more path over here. Now, what this will allow us to do is send the power up and over. So this stinks that we've got to do this, but there's no way to get across this road, and I want to maintain this road if at all possible. So we're going to send this here, and then we'll need a platform on the road so we can add a power shaft over. And then from here, we want to send this straight down. So we're just going to have a number of power shafts here, shifting the power down. And now the unfortunate thing is we're likely going to need a path all the way along the side of this too to actually build this. Okay, so right here is what I was afraid of. We've got one little power shaft that we can't access. So I'm hoping that with this staircase right here, we'll be able to just drop it down. My guess is we're going to need one more. Yep, it's still too far. Okay, and now with this in place, we can reach this double platform. We'll destroy these after the fact. This isn't really helpful for us right now, and it's still too far. That kills me. Now this should do it. You can see that we are basically at the same level. Otherwise, we could get rid of trees here and just add. Actually, that's what we'll do. So we're going to do something I'm not super proud of, and we'll just get rid of this, and then we'll build a temporary platform up here. And there we go, finally. And now we will again demolish these. It's really nice that we can recover some of these resources, because in the past, you'd have to build these temporary little locations, and then you'd lose all your resources, and boy, was that frustrating. So now we have a power shaft that comes all the way down here. It's connected all the way up over here. So this is going to give us the ability to put a whole bunch of our water wheels down here, hopefully in a row, and capture all of this. I also am thinking it could be really valuable. Again, we're going to replace these eventually with some of our batteries, and that's going to be really helpful. But we now have access down here as well, so we can start collecting metal for the first time. We're going to unlock our scavenger flag and set that up right here. And it looks like we're almost done here getting this built as well, so that's great. We've gone through and we're going to have access to 2 different ruins. That is wonderful. Now over here, we're going to start to establish the area for our water wheel. Now I know we are about to be in a drought. That's not great, but it's fine. We're going to be able to get this established and ready to go. We're going to back these off just a little bit, and we need 3 platform length to be able to place our water wheels. And I think that we can go up one more level here to make this work. Okay, so now what we have here is a whole system set up so that you could get down here, build these platforms, and then we have 4 water wheels in a row, and then we are turning the power down here because here is where we're going to start processing some of our metal. Now, what's the problem here? Not connected to a district. So even though I clicked up here and it was showing that it's within the area, it's too far away. So this should be the very border of what we can accomplish. So this should work over here. Now we're going to build a number of platforms along here as well because we are going to have our factories kind of just sitting off the edge here. And I'm guessing we're going to have planks over here. We're going to have some of our metal working. This is going to be super awesome. Now, interestingly, I'm seeing that we are at capacity for both gears and planks again. So we're going to need to create some new storage for both of these. And I think that we just right now, we might as well just kind of build a bunch of storage. And we are finally scavenging metal. That is amazing. Look at that. This is working so well now. As soon as this is built, we're going to have an unlimited source of power, basically, as long as we're not in a drought. And we can potentially get some of these power wheel workers out of here because this is not the most efficient use of our beavers. I see that we're collecting a lot of scrap metal already. We are just going to get ourselves ready with our smelter. We're going to place 2 of these right here, right off the bat, and I'm going to speed these along, at least one of them. Now, as always, lumber appears to be our limiting factor, and it makes me look over here and see that we're potentially leaving some opportunities on the table. So what we're going to do is just build this across here. And now with our lumberjack flag right here, once this is constructed, we've opened up a whole bunch of additional wood for ourselves. So this is going to be a higher priority for us. And hopefully we get this built so we can feed some of this area. Now I did miss something. I don't think that we've actually set these to be cut down. So we are actually going to be in a really great spot with lumber in just a second. In fact, we may want an additional lumberjack flag or 2 over here to be able to handle all of these trees that we're going to cut down. And look at this. Dodybot died. Dodybot was born. That's kind of funny. All right, so now we've got this second lumberjack flag over here, and we're going to slowly chop down the trees over here. It makes me want to take a look over here and just make sure that we aren't employing beavers kind of arbitrarily. We'll set one of these a little bit lower. We'll still have 2 over here. There's a lot of trees, but there's also a lot over here. So these 2 locations are going to be critical for us. Now, interestingly, we've already got this built over here, but we don't have our power connecting to this yet. So hopefully we get our platforms built. It looks like it's coming pretty quickly. And that's really a testament to this getting done. And we're actually harvesting some of these over here. Now, for whatever reason, our lumberjack flag is not being built. Now that tells me that I've prioritized too many things. So that is one of the things that I am well known for. I prioritize everything. So I'm just going to switch this to high. Now we're going to get our lumberjack flag. So we'll set this a little bit higher. And now we've actually got a small store of logs. Not large, 15, but that is better than we've had in a long time. And we're finally building our water wheel over here. So we'll get something going. Now the other thing I want to think about is paper, because with paper we could build some of our better windmills. So we are going to unlock the paper mill. And generally I feel like you only need 1 paper mill. So we have now given ourselves the ability to get rid of most of these platforms back here. And I don't think we loaded this up with anything, so we should be fine. And then I'm going to unlock these, but set the priority of all of these pretty low. Oh no, we are not high enough to make this work. Oh no, that's a conundrum. So first of all, bad planning. Second of all, we need to do one of 2 things. We either raise this up 1 level. I don't love the idea of that. Creates some issues for us. Or we lower this 1 level. Although we would lose a power wheel then, I'm pretty sure. That's probably the route that we're going to take. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll lose 1 power wheel through here. Not the end of the world. And now I'm going to resume this again, and I just really want them to pick up all of their scraps down here. So if we don't pick them up now, they'll fall into the water, and then we'll never get them. So I'm going to set these to high, the collection to high. Now here's going to be one of the interesting consequences of this. We've had this building path down here, and now it's in our way. So I'm going to build this here, and then I'm going to eliminate some of what we've already built. Okay, so now we've collected most of our resources, but we still have not placed our power wheels or water wheels yet, so we'll place those. I'm going to place 2 of these, and then I'm going to set the priority for these to be very high. And then the same thing with the paths over here. And then just to double check over here, we are making some progress, and we could have another gatherer over here collecting some of our scrap metal. If we had more beavers, I would do that. And in the future, we definitely will. But without that, it just doesn't make a ton of sense just yet. And this darn thing still isn't producing anything. And truthfully, it looks like it's too low, which is kind of frustrating. It makes me wonder if the situation is actually unrelated to this and more related to where we've placed these dams. So right now, the dams are siphoning the water over, which means that this would be pretty stagnant. So what we're going to do, we'll have a quick test. I'll get rid of these, and look at that. Immediately, this starts working. So to me, what this means is that we need additional dams. Okay, and I realized that having 4 openings over here left me in a situation where all the water was coming out this end and none was going out over there. So we've got to change this up a little bit. We're going to continue to maintain 2 openings over here, and that should get our water flowing correctly again. If we rearrange a couple of things over here, we could potentially add in some additional power sources over here, some more windmills. So we've got some opportunities available to us. And those are the sorts of things that maybe in the drought that we focus on. Never a bad time to look at our storage again. And I see that again, we have more bread than we know what to do with. So let's go ahead and add some storage for our bread. And that should do quite well for us once that gets built. Okay, and now for the first time, we have a connection all the way across here. Now, if this doesn't work for whatever reason, once we are finally out of the drought, what I'm going to do is just add a levee system over here and a new path across. It'll be just fine. At this point, though, we are at least connected. Once we have a beaver working here, which we will ensure that one gets there. Eric, thank you for helping out. And I've set this so that at least one of the smelters is a high priority workplace. So when someone like Eric decides to find a new place to work, at least we have Emily coming in and taking over. Let's lower this so that we don't let our crops die in the last day and a half of our drought. And these are all filling in really quickly at this point, which feels really good. I am very interested in this completing because we are going to build our first battery. We'll unlock this. We have enough science points. We have tons of science points. We're also going to unlock our large windmill as soon as we have enough science points for that. Now, the thing with these is you want the fall for these to be as high as it can be. So for our purposes, what we're going to do is rotate this around, and then we're going to come down here and build some platforms. And then we'll add these right here. So these don't need direct road access. And oh, we didn't actually place them high enough. We'll rectify that. And the whole reason that we've done this is this will now be a little bit more productive, just slightly. And once we click on this and this fills in, you'll be able to see just how impactful this is. So basically, if this were down, we wouldn't be able to store as much horsepower. The higher it is, the bigger the difference between the ground and this little box up here, the more horsepower you can save. So that's going to prevent us from needing these anymore. And this is our next target. We're going to get rid of the 2 of these. Now, beavers are becoming a limiting factor, and I really don't want that to be the case. I'm going to do something a little bit cheeky over here. So we've got a lot of jobs over here, and I just want to get some of these jobs to be closer to the beavers' workplaces. So hopefully this will do the trick. This is a lot of housing. So we've got 3 in each of these. So we've got 9 there. And then these allow for 9. So this is 18 up top. So we have a lot of new beaver homes. We're going to see our population jump. We've been hovering around 42 for the longest time, and it's time to start seeing our population grow a bit. And we have our first battery done, and you can see it's dropping down 1,600 horsepower just here alone. Oh, and that's brutal. These did not work, which is really unfortunate. I think that they are too low. So I should have just let it go in the beginning. I'm going to fix this. I said I was going to add the levees. I think I'm just going to fix these. Okay, and I finally figured this out, and it was something totally unrelated. Basically, up here, I had 2 triple floodgates. I don't know why I decided that this was necessary, but when I did, I made a huge problem for myself. So basically, the water was heading out this way faster than this way, so the speed was low, and as a result, this wasn't working. I've also added an extra dam on either side, which appears to have been a good solution over here. Now, once these are done, we're going to connect all of these up, and we've got our second battery built, and this one, again, is 1,600 horsepower that is being preserved. So we are setting ourselves up to be able to build our robots because we have a lot of power being stored. All of that said, we need these to be complete before we even think about that. And then I had to build additional stairs down here because these couple of homes down here were not actually getting filled. They were too far away from the district center. So now that we've built all of these, we can see that we've got a ton of beavers. We've got 41 adults and 11 children. Our food supply is still steady, medicine not so steady. We also have the ability to build these now as well. So we're going to unpause our warehouse storing our medicine, or dandelions rather, and we're going to build a healer now that we have metal blocks. We got Frag Proof up here inventing, and Hayden Nitsky as well, which is awesome because we absolutely want to unlock our large windmill. That will kind of be the end of our power supply woes that we've been having from time to time. And just in anticipation of this, we're gonna ready 2 more things basically before the end of the episode. So this is the first one. We now have a path to add in a couple of windmills up here, at least 1, maybe 2, if we connect them on the side. And I want this to be our better windmills. So that's what we'll add up here. And then over here, once this is connected, we are going to rely on these batteries. And you can see that these are really struggling right now to keep up because we're not connected to this entire system. Once we are, and we start to see these recharge, what we're going to do is get rid of these and add more battery backup. I want these to totally fill up, and I want to have unlimited power. So we are so close to that dream. It's going to take another minute. Okay, and now we have our last water wheel constructed. And, you know, these aren't doing a ton, but they're doing a little bit. They're providing that connection with a bit of power. And what we can see is that at least this is going in the right direction now, which is great. Now, I think we are in a spot where we can do what I've been wanting to do for a long time. And that is, we're going to eliminate this gear storage, add a path through here, and have our storage for our batteries. So this is going to be an interesting little solution for us. And I'm wondering. So I was hoping I could go up and over here, but we're not going to be able to do that. So what we're going to do is demolish this, and this, and this. And then all the way across here, we're going to add in some of our battery storage. Now, I would love it if we could have a path that goes up and over here, because I would love to maintain connectivity through here. I don't know that it's going to be possible, though. So we'll add this here. It is possible. That is amazing. And then for our power, we're going to use our straight shafts. One there and one there. So this will completely solve all of our issues. I can even add in some storage here for our gears. And this is going to be absolutely crazy. We're going to store so much energy. Okay, and our drought is done, and we finally have enough science to buy our large windmill. And really, I think this is the linchpin of everything. So we're going to buy this, and then I want to place this right over here. Now we're going to pause this one because we need to change our gear right here. And it's going to give us errors until we do. So we'll get rid of this, and then we'll come through here and use one of our T-pieces. And I like to bring this off just to make sure it's in the right direction. It looks correct. Place that right here and get this going quickly. And then we're going to need 2 more shafts. We've got those in the right direction. Now I want to focus on this one. We'll go as quickly as we can right here. And really our big limiting factor right now is gear production, which really stinks. It's just one of those things that there's not much that we can do about it at this point in time besides be patient and wait. Our food production is starting to suffer a bit too, which makes me a little bit nervous. So we are going to add an extra farmer. We've got a ton of beavers now. And then hopefully we start getting some more potato production here. That's going to be a huge help to us. Over here, the other thing that we could do to hopefully improve this a bit would be to think about our power and getting a battery backup over here. But I think that this is not a high priority at this point in time. And I just found out something interesting. So if I actively manage the water here and I close the floodgate here and let it spill out this side, I start to see a bunch more power output from these water wheels. Probably not a huge deal in the future, but right now it means a ton to me. So I'm getting this thing going and we're trying to store power here. We've really been struggling with our gravity battery over here. They've been basically at the bottom the entire time. Once this battery is built, we'll be able to use the power that's been stored right here, and that'll help us here as well. But we're kind of in a holding pattern. Thankfully, our food situation seems to be somewhat stabilizing, so we're doing okay there. It's just still kind of a tough spot. Okay, and we finally got our second gravity battery done over here, and it's depleting quickly. But I think we have an opportunity if we take it right now, and that opportunity, holy cow, it's going so fast. We are going to go ahead and get rid of our last power wheel. Eric, you will be relieved of duty, and we are going to replace that with another gear workshop. So I'm doing this right now because we still have something. We're basically depleting all of the power from our gravity batteries. But once these are completely spent, this is finally built. Yes, we're starting to put some power back in here quickly, which is great, which is fantastic. These are holding steady. Actually, these are even recharging. This is perfect. This was the game plan all along. At night, we're replenishing. Now we're quickly filling this in. I think that we are going to attempt to add even more power to this. Okay, so I've built one more windmill over here, and I just want to take, whenever we've got wind going, I want to take as much advantage of that as we can. So I am building a platform over here, one over here, and we're going to build one more windmill. And I think that this is really going to take this up to the next level. Okay, so now when we click on a windmill, we can see that our power supply is a little bit below our demand. And I want this to be at a complete equilibrium. Once we have that, we should be putting power away almost constantly. So that is the goal. So to do that, we're going to continue to modify this a bit. And over here, I'm going to shift our path direction. And it's right here at night when the supply is higher than the demand that you see these starting to rise up again. So that is the goal. And look at this. We are replenishing our batteries during the day, no problem. And that is because our supply is way higher than our demand. So this has been the goal all along. This is basically how we get to unlimited power. We are going to let this go and just fill up. We've got so much food. We're just going to pay attention right here. It looks like grilled potatoes. We could stand to store a few more. I think at this point we'll finally unlock our larger warehouse, and we'll load that up with grilled potatoes, and then maybe we can repurpose some of these other ones. There we go. So we're going to fill this up with grilled potatoes. We'll have carrots here and grilled chestnuts here. Now eventually, especially where we have two of these stacked up, we might just want to think about eliminating these and replacing them eventually, but for the time being, this will work just fine for us. And we finally got all of our windmills constructed, and we are producing some crazy amounts of energy, restoring our batteries. We're going to start finishing these up as well, which is great. I'm going to let the last few things finish off, and then we'll take inventory of where we're at. Okay, and we finally have our warehouses done. We are storing a ton of bread. We've got so much food. We are going to need to focus on water soon, but I feel like we're in a good spot there as well. Our energy system is absolutely ridiculous. You take a look, these batteries are all full. We are grossly overproducing on energy, and we are ready to build our brand new refineries, our part factories, and our bot assemblers in our next episode. I'm really excited for this. We're also going to need to get our observatory done because that's really, first of all, it's a ton of electricity that it needs, which is great because we have a ton right now. But this will also help us reach our science goals sooner. So really exciting stuff coming soon. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. We've done a lot, and I think that we've got even more to do, but it's going to be a blast. I just want to do one last thing. Let's take a look. If your name's in this list, why don't you drop a note in the comments and let me know. You are very, very helpful. Every last one of you, patrons and YouTube channel members, you are populating the list right now and helping make the very best beaver colony that we can. I see a lot of familiar faces in here, and I want to thank you all for the support throughout the year. It's been absolutely incredible. The channel has grown quite a bit this year, and I've really enjoyed each and every moment of it. So we're gonna leave it here. Hope that you've enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the like button. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. Bye-bye.